Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. This is Greg Dixon here, your story whisperer. And today I really going to talk a bit about stories, books, almost any kind of creative expression, and why you might want to consider it for yourself. So I've been involved with well, my company is called Shared Visions Unlimited for a reason. I started probably 40 years ago with an interest in capturing people's stories with video and also writing books and publishing. And I've continued that theme all along here for and with many detours. The road has not been straight. So, and Betty Withrow and I have been working with book authors and course creators recently to publish their works. We basically we can handle everything from the idea all the way to putting it out as a course or membership, or also up for print and available in various formats, including flip books. But that's not really what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm really here to talk to you about your story. We have people come, they've already got the journey, but I think many of you are thinking about, you know, should I, do I have a story in me? Do I have a book in me? Do I have a novel? Do I have a song or something? And I think you do. I think it's our human heritage, from the time, from the from primitive man drew things on cave walls and they told stories around the fire. And then, as we got up and people learned how to write and capture the stories, now we have audio and visual video tools, and right now there's no better time to be alive, really, in many ways, and especially if you want to share your story. So the question is, why would you want, what might that story be for you? Maybe it is your personal experience, maybe it's adventures you've had, maybe it's your family stories, or your story about your children, or story about your parents. And um, sometimes we think that nobody would be interested in it, and I, in a way, that's um, unfortunate. I think there are many parents, especially of a certain age, maybe they were in a war or something, or they did things that they never bothered to tell their children about it. So basically, when they died, their children really didn't know who they were, and it's just amazing. If you're probably, if you talk to the Walmart greeter for their story, you'd be astonished. And you probably have a story to tell too. And I'm going to make this broad. It's maybe not even just a story. It may be something you've learned in your life and you want to teach somebody that could be very helpful. Um, whatever it is, I encourage you to do it. I can help you with the journey, but you don't really need my help. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm probably going to get up and broadcast ways of doing things. First of all, start with the journal. Pick up a journal. Start writing some notes. I like Google Drive, Google Docs. And when we work with a client, the first thing we do is create a folder with places to put notes. And one of the places is just brainstorming notes, ideas, book ideas, all sorts of things. So, like for me personally, I could probably write a book a month for the rest of my life. It's just, and I'm just going to run through some of the ideas, because then you heard it here, and then you can nag me in 2 months and say, why haven't you done it? Anyway, one of the ones is the first book of Lazy, and the first line would be, if you're reading this, I've got over a few things. So I've there's sometimes laziness has been both a boon and a handicap for me, and I was going to just ruminate on some of those ideas. And there's the Tao Pu by Benjamin Hoff. They talk about the Taoist idea of the least effort. Well, sometimes I've been a master of that. Uh, uh, Another book I've thought about writing is uh, Adventures in Moving. For whatever reason, no matter where I end up helping people move, and I've had some just ridiculous experiences moving that are just really bizarre. And one chapter will be the worst move was moving my wife and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend wasn't the worst part. And so there's a long story to that. And the other one I've thought about recently is all my relations, and all about the connections that we have with everybody. From people who come into our lives, like serendipities happen to me a lot. There are people I've been connected. Bonnie and I met on Match.com, and it turned out we had a mutual friend in Mexico. So, in some ways, um, and I'm involved with various First Nations group, and they have a thing called a Unity Wheel, which has four segments, and depending who's telling the story and explaining what it means, it's different things. That's the beauty of Native spirituality is operates on various levels. But one thing is sometimes the colors are white, black. Red and yellow, and one explanation is that represented all of the major races in the world, and humanity wasn't complete without the influence of all those four colors. And so, the way I operate is I sit down. I've got an idea for a book, and I write down an outline, and I have an outline for 4 or 5 books that I could do. The other thing is I haven't been doing recently, but I'm going to get back to it, is songwriting. I've written a number of songs that we performed in various bands, and I will get up on stage and sing them. And I've got a few things that are still under construction, and probably some new things coming up. So I guess what I'm saying here is your creative expression doesn't have to be a book or a course or a poem, or it could be almost anything. And in a way, what I'm doing now is just getting up and broadcasting. Just sort of pushing the broadcast button and see what comes out of my mouth next. That's a form of expression. We have a going to start working with a client who wrote a book, and what we're going to do is she uh, is a lawyer, and she's going to read a section of her book, which is kind of in the form of a novel. It's not a novel per se, but there are a bunch of legal aspects behind that. So part of it is she'll read a part of the book, and then we'll have a discussion about what that means. So it's basically to do with child welfare and the laws and protections around children, and it's something that a lot of people probably need to know. So you may have something that a story that you say, well, who would want to hear it? Who wants to know about it? Or, what's the point? Well, maybe there's somebody who needs to hear it. And the other thing is, you could be just fun. Maybe you just want to be entertaining. Lots of funny stories. Sometimes we really need funny stories. So, and um, yeah, and some hope, and it can be anything. And I guess I'm going to say, if you want to talk to me about your ideas about what you want to stories you want to tell, or things you might want to write or create and produce, just let me know, and I can be your cheerleader. So I have a retainer. That basically it's a does stuff retainer, and we just figure out what you want to do, and we meet regularly, and we do keep it going. Maybe the first part of it is just brainstorming, but my encouragement is you don't need to work with me to do this. You can just start doing it yourself. As I said, you can start writing in a journal. You can start and you can put it out any way you want, even just getting up on Facebook. I have a friend who writes stories about logging on his Facebook, and it's kind of history. And a number of us have said we should you know compile those and put it in a book, and maybe he'll do that at some point. But it's just great. So it's never been a better time to put it out in any kind of format. You might prefer audio. Uh, we've done story productions where we've just had a discussion with people, and we recorded their stories on a phone and transcribed it, and then made it into, collected photos, put things together. So there are lots of ways of doing it, and I think the thing is to have some joy in it. Like, it can be fun, or it can be cathartic. Like, I know some people have basically stuff that's bouncing around in their head, and maybe things that they haven't really made sense of, and simply writing it down and getting it out can help it make sense to it, and you'll just get it out, just instead of haunting the regions of your brain. It's out there, and whether you publish it or share it to anybody else is, it's maybe not that important. But consider that there's probably somebody out there who would really appreciate hearing what you have to say, what your stories are, or the insights, or the advice that you might want to give to them, and just, really just do it. So that's my encouragement: is if you've ever thought about sharing your story in any form, just, get started today. You can get started with a journal, or if you like, create something in a Word document or Google Docs. I like Google Docs because it's really easy to share with things and edit, and maybe tomorrow I'll talk about using a mind map about for how to brainstorm these ideas. So anyway, I'm available. You can go to visit sharedvisions.com. You're probably watching this on LinkedIn, maybe YouTube. Reach out to me, Greg Dixon at sharedvisions.com. Most of you can find me pretty easily. And if you want to just chat about what stories you might want to tell, what books you might want to write, what videos you want to create. So so I've oh yeah, I was going to say that this if you want to get a good idea of the kinds of things I've done over the years, the best place is probably here. I'm going to post it right there. Share this, is on my YouTube channel. And there we go. At youtube.com. I think it's slash Greg Dixon 2007 would work, or at Greg Dixon 2007 would work. And there's just, you could spend a good part of a year. So I've done probably a couple hundred video broadcasts like this. I've done, Bonnie and I have done interviews. We've done various interviews, and almost any topic you can think of: writing, marketing, real estate, investing. I've done a few documentaries for churches. I'm not a member of any religious institution at all. I'm a free agent, but I've done a surprising number of broadcasts related to United Church, Lynn Valley, various things. I created a documentary about the history of the Lynn Valley United Church, and it was a lot of work. We had like 5 hours of interviews to put into a 12-minute video. This is just really tough. So anyway, and tons of music, tons of music I've been involved with, various concerts, various choirs, various things, almost anything. Lots of people in the food, rescue, food sustainability area. Quite a few things like I've created videos on almost everything at some point, and that's a pretty good idea. And so that's that's one way of doing this. Like, for example, if you had a story to tell, maybe we could broadcast it, or we could just record it and transcribe it and create it into different formats. Um, all sorts of ways of doing this. So anyway, so if you want to talk to me about working with me, doing things, or just you know, you just want some encouragement, just do it. Just do it. So anyway, that's all for now, and I'll talk to you soon. I think I'm going to follow up with a series about this whole writing, creating, storytelling process over the next while. Thank you.